Yo, what's going on guys? Jared here. Today I'm bringing to you a deck profile featuring Yubel coming out of Legacy of Destruction. This is the other competitive deck that I think is going to make a big meta impact going forward when the set releases that can actually compete with all of the decks that we currently have in the metagame, right? Things like the Fire decks is the big one. Obviously this deck is kind of weird. It does not play normal Yu-Gi-Oh! And it has combos now that are really strong, and the support that it got is absolutely crazy. So we're going to go and jump in and talk about those cards and read over them a little bit, and then I have a combo at the end, just a very simple thing. But I think that this deck list is a good starting point to this deck because there is so many ways you're able to use these cards and abuse them. Yeah, there's so many ways you can use this deck. It's crazy. So if you enjoy this type of content, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the deck profile. Okay, guys, so here is the list that I currently have for Yubel. This is a little weird. It's a little messy too. I really don't like playing the 44 cards, but there is definitely some fat that needs to be trimmed here, and I am not sure what yet. This deck requires probably a lot of testing, and I really want to mess with it more, so I'm excited to. I own most of the cards in real life, so I am excited for when the set comes out to be able to immediately put them to work. But yeah, so in Legacy of Destruction, we get 3 new cards that make a big impact for this deck. I'm going to read over them really quickly because I think they are all 3 of them are ridiculous Yu-Gi-Oh cards in general. The first one being the Yubel field spell called Nightmare Throne. When it's activated, you can take a fiend with 0 attack and defense from your deck and either add it to your hand or destroy it. That's very important because you can destroy, obviously, Yubel or Spirit of Yubel or anything like that to trigger them. Once per turn, if a face-up Yubel monster you control is the field by card effect, you can add a Yubel monster from your deck, graveyard, or banishment to your hand whose original level is 1 higher or 1 lower of that monster. And then you can special summon that monster, ignoring its summoning condition. So you are able to rank up or rank down the Yubel that left the field, which is obviously really strong. Also, you are able to add like your other starters with this card. So you get a starter in the form of this card, which is going to be the combo that we're going to do. And we also get an extender with this card, which is crazy for a field spell. It's everything you want in a field spell, realistically, right? This is in competition with like the planets that we got from the past like year or two of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like something like the Tierman planet could be used as a combo and an extender. This rivals being on that level of good. So keep that in mind if you want like a comparison, right? On the other main Yubel card that we are getting is the Retrain of Grave Squirmer, which is Infernal Grave Squirmer. It reads, if you control a fiend monster, quick effect, you can special summon it from the hand, and then you can destroy a monster you control that is Yubel or mentions it. This is generic, very strong fiend support. This is just a level 1 extender that is literally free, that you can summon as your hand as a quick effect. That by itself is very strong, just something to keep in mind for general Yu-Gi-Oh! Things. That is extremely strong. Then, the secondary effect, which is also insane, is you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon a fiend with 0 attack and defense from your hand or graveyard. You can only use each effect once per turn. Yeah, this card's ridiculous. This is a crazy extender, quick effect that you can use your opponent's turn that really pushes this deck through the level because it gets you 2 free bodies for commitment of nothing. And it's really what the deck needed to actually make really strong game 1 boards going first. The last card out of Legacy Destruction is actually an extra deck card in the rank 10 of, I'm just going to say this rank 10. It's called Valdraith right now, but I'm sure this is not going to be the name that we get in TCG, but we will see. Yeah, this is a ridiculous generic rank 10 that rivals something like Baron de Fleur, which we already have, and we already know how strong that card is. So it's 2+ level 10, so you can make this with more level 10s, and there is a reason for it. When your opponent activates a card or quick effect, you can detach a material and negate the activation. Then you can detach another material and destroy 1 card on the field. Whoopsie. Obviously, that's rivals the Baron effect. You can negate and destroy, or you can just negate and save for a second negate. It's very versatile in that way. At the end of the damage step, if it attacks with the material, you can destroy a card on the field. Obviously, again, more versatility, it's just like more the merrier with this card. There's 3 amazing effects. And then lastly, if the succeeds summon card is destroyed, you can destroy a card on the field. What more do you want out of a generic rank 10 exceed? It's a negate, it's a pop, it has a battle trick, it can trade when it dies. This is everything you want. Something else you can do with it is destroy your own cards to help trigger your field spell or your Yubels to be able to keep comboing. This card is a powerhouse, and it is going to be played everywhere. This is going to be any level 10 deck will be playing this card in multiples because I think this card is crazy good. So yeah, those are the 3 main cards coming out of Legacy of Destruction that really boost Yubel. up to what I think is meta contention, and I'm going to explain some reasons why while we're going through it. But we're going to go through the card by card very, very quickly. So currently in my base list that I have, where again, this is a list where you guys can try it out and toy with it and mess around with some ratios. It's because I think it's really important that you kind of get this deck into your own attune, because this deck is so weird to play. 3 Dark Beckoning Beast, 3 Nightmare Pain, 3 Samsara D Lotus, 3 Nightmare Throne, 2 of the original Yubel, because it's our level 10s, 1 of the Terra Incarnate, 1 Terraforming, 1/1/1, 3 copies of Opening of the Spirit Gates, 3 Spirit Yubel, 3 of the Infernal Grave Swarmer, 3 Super Poly, 1 Terraforming, 1 Call by the Grave, 1 Eternal Favorite, 1 Unchained Soul Shavara, 3 Nib, 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, and 3 Valor. And then for the extra deck, we have the 1 Fusion Yubel of the Loving Defender Forever, 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 1 Garura, 1 Muckracker, 1 of the SP Little Knight, 1 Yama, 1 Rage, 1 Anguish, 1 Abomination, 1 Appaloosa, 1 Amirage, 1 Djinn Buster, 1 Sky Crisis, and then 2 of the Valdrith. For the side deck, I have a bunch of cards that you can play that are options that I think are worth looking into, like more Unchained, Shifter, the old package I used in the other one to be able to draw cards off the Dark Beckoning Beast, but I don't think it's worth it anymore because we have more powerful options to go for. Like I said, more Unchained cards, the Ultimate Nightmare you can play to rank up even more and get more bodies, Mature Chronicle, which I don't think is necessary. More Eternal Favorites. I know this card was currently popularized in multiples. I don't know if you still need it after this point. Gustav Max, I don't think this card does a lot right now, other than being a time card, so I'd probably rather have it in the side deck anyway. I have 2 Floodgate continuous spells here because of the actual effect of Opening of the Spirit Gates, the last effect that not a lot of people know about, where if you control level 10, you can add a continuous spell from the grave back to the hand, so you can Floodgate them out. Then if those floodgates are outed, you're able to add them back and put them back under the same floodgate. And then the level 2 TCG exclusive that we actually got in last set, which can actually synchro with the Yubels to be able to go in the level 12 synchros. Again, I don't think this is going to be that important, but it is definitely worth something mentioning, especially because you are able to add back monsters from the graveyard when it is destroyed. And so, not destroyed, just if it's sent to the graveyard from the field. So yeah, just really, really good. And it's an extender if something is destroyed. So it's just something I think is worth mentioning that this card exists and the OCG doesn't have it. So it's not something you can look into. This is something you just have to know that it came out. Yeah. So obviously this deck can do a lot now, but it really feels not like Yubel deck because you're not really ending on Yubel stuff. You're kind of using the Yubel stuff more as an engine in a toolbox to be able to go into generic Fiend stuff, which again, I'm like 50-50 with liking right now because I really wanted Yubel to be the main powerhouse of the deck, but it does just kind of feel more like a Fiend toolbox. But I will say past turn 1 is where it starts feeling more Yubel-y because that's where your Yubels can be used in battle phase and be able to force them to attack with Nightmare Pain, and you can do burn damage in that type of way and crashing them in, and your Super Polys become live and things like that, right? That is where this deck feels like Yubel. But going on your first turn, it definitely feels like Fiend Pile going into the Unchained lines. Really, really makes it feel that way in the Muckracker as well. But there is one thing I wanted to mention of why I think this deck actually can possibly keep up with the Fire deck. And there is one specific reason. I think this reason actually exists now, but the problem is the rest of the deck is not good enough. It is actually Spirit of Yubel. I think this card is insanely slept on, currently at least, because I think when the Fire deck plays, they dedicate a lot of resources going into the Blaze Phoenix, Zelantis, Princess line. And when they do that, they go into battle phase and attack you, and being able to summon out Spirit of Yubel, which floats into the normal Yubel, which also floats into Terra Incarnate, and all they have is the destruction off of the Zelantis, which you don't care about. Yeah, you're like in a really good spot because now they used a lot of their resources to get to that point to try to end the game. And if you have Spirit of Yubel on the field, I mean, in your hand, you're not losing anymore. You get an extra turn. They can attack you. They have to go to main phase 2, and you search for a spell or trap card at the same time, so you follow up for the next turn. You are in a primo position to be able to try to take back the game and possibly crash your stuff in for a lot of damage, especially if they leave something like the Blaze Phoenix sitting there is a ridiculously high number. You can just slam your Yubels in and win the game. And if they didn't even kill the Nightmare Pain, which they probably will with Zelantis, but I'm just saying that they can definitely lose to this card outright if they just have to keep slamming into it. So that is pretty much going to be it for the actual deck profile and why I think this deck is actually pretty decent against fire. And you also can fit a good amount of non-engine in here with, like, you know, things like the hand traps, super polys, and you don't even have to play the unchains. I don't like the other unchained cards because you brick on them. I think the ratios for the Dark Beckoning Beast and the Spirit Gates can probably be changed. It's just a lot of like nuance, and you have to play a lot of games with it to really get those numbers like down. So definitely let me know what you guys come up with down below, because I'm really curious of the multiple ways you can play this deck, because there is so many, especially with even more stuff coming out in the future as well, right? So yeah, I'm really excited to see where this deck goes, because this feels like such a open deck to mess around with. I feel like there's so many things you can do with it, which I'm like, again, I'm like itching to have it in real life. But yeah, that's going to be it for the actual deck profile. Let me show you guys the quick 1-card combo just to give you guys an idea of what you can do on turn 1. Okay guys, so like I said, this is going to be a 1-card combo. Very quickly, this is just a very generic thing that you can do on your first turn. So we're going to activate Nightmare Throne, grab Samsara the Lotus effect, tribute itself, summon Spirit effect to search, grab the Nightmare Pain, use the Nightmare Pain, pop the Spirit, search Grave Squirmer, use the Spirit Yubel and the Nightmare Throne to summon out Yubel and the Terror Incarnate from the deck. And now you are able to special summon the Grave Squirmer. You are not going to destroy with the effect. You're going to link off those two to go into the Yama. This is where that extra extension that we didn't have before can come up. Yama effect to search the Sharvara. It's very nice that Sharvara can be used to destroy your Yubels and trigger them. So you're able to get value out of this in this deck as well, not just with the Unchained package. Being, you can use the Sharvara to pop the Spirit again to be able to special summon from deck another copy of Yubel. Keep in mind Spirit of Yubel, where it says if this card is destroyed, you can special summon one Yubel that is banished or in hand your deck or graveyard. And then it says you can only use each of the following effects. So when it says that, it is referring to the last effects where you special summon from the hand and to search a spell or trap. But the floating effect of this card is not a once per turn, and you can keep doing it as long as you keep getting destroyed in the same turn. Something very good to know, and be able to read Yu-Gi-Oh cards properly so that you know things like this. From here, you're able to link those two off into the Solar Rage. Keep in mind you have to do this first because Sarvara's actually has a restriction where you can only summon Fiends while it's on the field. Then you can overlay the two Yubels for the obviously disgusting rank 10 XYZ that we are getting. And this is pretty much going to be your end board here. And this is doesn't look that intimidating, but then, you know, there's a little bit of layers here, being able to use Rage to go into SP Little Knight, and then to use Little Knight's first effect, and then the second effect, that is 3 interruptions in itself. Then you also have this card being able to negate and pop, so you can consider this card 1.5 interruptions by itself. It's just pretty solid. And then at the same time, you also have Yama in the graveyard, where if something is destroyed, you can bring back something like Spirit or a Yubel if you detached it, and then be able to search, and then if that Yubel dies, you're able to use Nightmare Throne again to be able to summon something back. And again, it just it adds up very, very quickly, and it's very strong. And I really cannot keep I can't emphasize enough how strong this really is because of how much you can do. So yeah, and again, there's a lot more this deck can do. It feels like a free fiend pile where you can do a lot of different things. There's combos with Tour Guide too that you can definitely check out. And again, there's so much you can do. So again, please leave down below what you guys think about Yubel and any other combos and suggestions that you have down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe if you did. And until then, I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.